Pay us what you owe us. That has been the loudest conversation coming out of WNBA All-Star Weekend. Shout out, let me first say, to the WNBA. It was a phenomenal All-Star Weekend. Shout out to the stud buds. Shout out to all the women that did what they did. It was a great All-Star Weekend. It was a great All-Star game. The WNBA highlighted and showcased themselves perfectly. But the loudest conversation to come out of All-Star Weekend obviously was the warm-ups that the women wore before the All-Star game, which said, "Pay us what you owe us." And I've talked about it here, but there is a good chance that the WNBA and the players can be barreling down a lockout because collective bargaining agreements and the deals, it's coming up. And obviously, if the women and the PA, they don't like what they hear, they are threatening to hold out, lock out. And the reason why I wanted to start with how divisive it's been is because you're hearing so many opinions about this. Understandably so. I mean, people that have platforms, they have obviously the autonomy to say what they want to say, but you're just hearing a lot of opinions, and a lot of those opinions is essentially, who do you think you are? How do you think you can, this, that, and the third, and the WNBA is not profitable, and you don't deserve them? Okay. Let me bring some facts into this realm. It is true that yearly the WNBA, I think, loses profit more than makes it. That is true. It's also true that the TV deal is going to increase the profit by nearly, I think, $16 million. And you can't spell and you can't say that the WNBA isn't making profit because in a span of 4 years, we will be getting 5 new teams. Toronto, Portland, Detroit, Philadelphia, and Cleveland. Another fact is, and I don't like to compare, but I have to compare in a sense like this. The NBA and the players in the NBA get 50% of the total revenue. 50% of the NBA revenue goes to the players. In comparison, 9.3% go to the players on the women's side. That means all the WNBA profit, 9.3 go to the women, go to the players. A lot of people are saying, well, most of this growth is due to Caitlin Clark. And if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, you wouldn't have a expanding TV deal. All these teams that are coming to the league wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. Okay. I'm not going to say it's all on Caitlin Clark, but I do think Caitlin Clark plays a huge part in her fandom, plays a huge part in just the growth of the league. But in that, she's still a player. And it's not lost on me that she was also one of the players donning the "pay us what you owe us" warm-up. Look, do I think that the WNBA players are going to get to 50%? No. I don't think the league makes enough to justify the players making 50% on the women's side. And I'm just being completely honest. But do I think that they should be making more than 9.3%? Yes. It is no secret that the league is growing. Again, you're getting new teams. You're bringing new teams on. And what's interesting is how triggering it is for people to hear other people ask for more. They don't deserve it. The WNBA isn't even profitable. They think they should get what the men get. One thing I will say is I've never heard one woman in the WNBA. I've never heard one of them say, we deserve what the men get. We deserve the type of contracts that the men get. I've never heard that. One thing that I have heard is we deserve more of the revenue share. They're not even cracking 10%, while the men are at 50. And people are saying it's not profitable enough. Well, that's not true. Okay, if that's the case, why don't you scale back? That's another. Why don't you scale back on some of the improvements that you're bringing to the league, i.e. these teams, and focus on the actual players? You know, expansion is fast. We're seeing a fast-moving, expansion is moving at warp speed when we talk about the W. But one thing that has not been addressed is the fact that most of this is off the backs of the players. We talk about Caitlin Clark. Do you know that the player that has the most IG followers, the biggest platform in the W is actually Angel Reese? So I stand with anyone that feels like they're not getting paid what they feel they're worth. And the thing about the W is you can clearly see what they're worth. Maybe if we can bump up the revenue share to 20%, I don't know. But the fact that it's at 9%, 9.3% is crazy. Especially when you're seeing, you know what's funny? Every single time the WNBA announces a new team, I'm religious with it. There's a bunch of people, shout out to them, that's religious with it and saying, we didn't really ask, and it's not being ungrateful. But fans, the league in general, didn't ask for a new team before addressing some of the bigger issues that they have, i.e. payment for players, i.e. roster sizes. I talk about that religiously, man. Look, I support growth. I support expansion. I support new teams. I support the WNBA being the best that they can be. And if they feel that is bringing, 5 new teams in 4 years, I'm with it. But like I talk about when it announced, how are you going to do that? And you still have players complaining about pay. It's as popular as Angel Reese is, as popular as Caitlin Clark is, as popular as Nafisa Colley, or as popular as Asia Wilson. I don't think there is one player in the W making $1 million a year. Not one. In fact, let me look at Angel Wilson's contract. Asia Wilson's arguably the best player in the league, because you can argue now it's her and Nafisa. There's not a player that's making $1 million a year. There's not a player that's making $1 million on their contract. For people, I didn't say it. Asia Wilson is making 2 years or has a 2-year, $400,000 contract essentially. It's as unfortunate as it is. I understand that deals and endorsements is a big thing in sports. I get it. I'm not mad at that. I understand that most players, either NBA, WNBA, NFL, most players make a lot of money through endorsements. I'm sure Steph Curry makes a ton of money from Under Armour. I'm sure LeBron James makes a ton of money from Nike. I'm sure Aaron Judge makes a ton of money from Jordan. I'm sure Jalen Hurts makes a ton of money from Jordan. But the fact that most of the W players make more money off of endorsements is crazy, especially when you know that most W players do not get endorsements. There's not a lot of them. Not a lot at all. I think Angel Reese has been very open in saying that she makes way more money off the court than on. Look, again, I don't see the WNBA players getting to 50% revenue share. I don't see that. But you clearly have enough to bring a bunch of teams on. Why don't you bump it up to 15, 20%? Let's just get to 20%. Again, there's not a player in the league that is making $1 million. And again, I don't like comparing, but to put that into comparison, Cooper Flag, a player that hasn't played a official NBA minute, has a 4-year, $62.7 million contract. Give me a second. Well, Nafisa Collier, who is arguably the best player in the, especially one of the best players in the league this year, is making roughly 200. The most she's making is 214, essentially, $1,000 a year for 3 years. Again, I understand that the NBA is more profitable than the WNBA. I get that. I understand that more people watch the NBA, more money comes through the NBA than it does the WNBA. I get that. So I also understand why the men's side would get much more. I'm not going to say much more, but would get more of the revenue. I get it. But you're seeing all this growth around you if you're a player in the WNBA. But the one number that ain't moved is the revenue share. And the fact of you can't justify I don't know how many times they've talked about, oh, we had to move the venue that Caitlin Clark was playing because we just didn't have enough tickets. How can you justify that or justify bringing 5 teams in 4 years? And you actually, if you want to expand it, 17 or 6 teams, because the Golden State Valkyrie is a new team this year. And you're looking like, we don't got enough to bump up that revenue share. Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but from what I read is correctly, I don't think the W has made a profit ever. In the I think that they've been in the red almost every year. However, you're seeing TV deals come along. Like, you're seeing much more money come along, money that they have never seen, exposure that they have never seen, eyes that they have never seen. Why do you not? Mind you, the only thing that's changed is the players. So yeah, I stand in solidarity with the players. It shouldn't. I don't think that bumping it to 20% is going to completely change the lives of players. That's, right now. But I do think that it shouldn't take Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart to start an unrivaled. It shouldn't take Athlete Unlimited or Unlimited Athlete. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name. It shouldn't. You, as a high level WNBA player, you shouldn't have to go overseas to play. You shouldn't have to find ulterior routes outside of the season to play. That is, I think, what that 20% will change. Again, we rattled off a bunch of great names. There's a bunch of every single all-star that we saw. You know what? I'm gonna put it into even more perspective. Every single all-star that we saw this weekend is making less money than Bam Adebayo combined. Bam Adebayo makes more money than every single all-star that we saw play on that court. Yeah, I support the women wholeheartedly. Pay them what they owe them. And for people that think that they don't deserve more, I'll ask you, in what world has it ever hurt anybody in any corporate setting to ask for more money when their work not only warrants more money, but shows that their work has brought in more money? And I'll even reshape the question. If it is clear that your contribution is making the company much more profitable, wouldn't that be the time to ask for more money? When you're seeing the company just expand rapidly off of the back of your work, don't you think that you should ask for more money? Is it because it's a woman that's asking? Is it because you don't support the WNBA? I don't know. But pay these women what you owe them. I support it. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.